When I get home, my mother and father are in the bathroom, the door closed. And I know from the way my father says in a quiet voice, "Be careful on my throat," that my mother is shaving him. I can hear the safety razor scraping over his whiskers, the swish of water as my mother rinses the razor, and the clacking sound it makes as she taps it on the edge of the sink. I stand in the hallway trying not to make a sound, something about my parents' cooperation captivating me. I'm listening to them. I'm eavesdropping. And suddenly I feel guilty for keeping my presence hidden and unannounced. One night, a few years earlier, my father caught a man peeping in our window. I'd already gone to bed and didn't know anything about what had happened until much later, when I overheard my father and mother talking about that night. I was astonished. I couldn't quite imagine that a strange man had stood at our kitchen window staring in. I wondered what he had found to interest him, to make him stand there in the dark, watching through the archway that led from our kitchen to our living room, my aging parents moving through the light, readying themselves for bed. They slept on a sleeper sofa in the living room. Now I imagine my mother gently lifting the eyeglasses from my father's face, unbuttoning his shirt, helping him slip his arms from the flesh-colored plastic holsters, the hooks screwed into their ends. She would have raised the canvas harness from his shoulders and draped the hooks over a straight-back chair. She would have unpinned the cotton arm socks from his t-shirt sleeves and rolled the socks down his stumps. I remember how naked those stumps were after being encased all day in their holsters. I remember the white flesh and how it embarrassed me, a sight not meant for my eyes. Perhaps it was that kept the peeping Tom at our window, those naked stumps, and the intimacy my mother and father shared. Not the intimacy of lovers, but a tenderness and familiarity that became theirs because of my father's accident. So maybe it was my mother's delicate movements as she undressed my maimed father that captivated, as it does me now, the voyeur, and made him feel the sensuality that was so privately theirs. I wonder whether they themselves were even aware of it. I had always thought them sexless, without passion, until now, when I stand at the window with the peeping Tom and realize that all along their lovemaking had been present in the gentle way my mother touched my father when she undressed him, when she held a drinking glass so he could take it in his hook, when she shampooed and combed his hair. I remember the way he gave himself over to her ministering, his frequently gruff voice going soft, his arms, which could jerk so often with bluster and fury, relaxing. I can never fully know the accommodations they had to make after my father lost his hands, but I can remember their murmurs behind closed doors, the sound as lulling as the cooing of morning doves, as soothing as the rill of a brook hidden in a deep woods, a private code between them. And know that all the while I thought them impotent and numb, they were making love each day right before my eyes, and I was too blind to see it. I was too busy being young. Until the afternoon, when I stand in the hallway and listen to them in the bathroom. Turn your head this way, my mother says, and I know my father is doing as she asks. How can he not? He depends on her for so much, and she gives it without complaint. That's it, he says, right there. Then they aren't talking. I listen to the sounds their bodies make as they move. The harness of my father's hooks squeaking as he turns his head and shoulders, my mother's soft-soled shoes sliding over the tiled floor, the gentle whisk of her dress as it brushes across my father's twill trousers. I listen to their dance. And I think about Beth and the way we clung to each other behind the woodpile. Suddenly, in the presence of my parents' gentle and selfless choreography, my future opens, and it terrifies me. With its broad expanse of time, its uncertain possibilities, I step into my adult life, wondering how long I'll need to live, how much I'll need to lose to learn to love like this.